What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more stats to bring to you today. Yesterday, we went through the attacking numbers behind Ange, and today we're going to be delving deep into the numbers for the defensive stats under Ange. You know, since the injuries into the back line, the numbers don't read well in terms of the goals we're conceding at the moment. I think we're one of the least, or maybe the most, goals conceded.
In the period between the Chelsea game and now, we're the top of the league for goals conceded.
That's what I'm saying. So the numbers don't read too nicely if you just go on that number, but there are many different metrics you can go on looking at the defensive numbers into Ange. So I know you love delving deep into numbers, so let's get straight into it.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at what we're doing good, some of the good defensive numbers and the metrics performing really well at, and then we'll also look at where we're performing really badly, why we concede so many goals. Obviously, you can argue a lot of these stats because of the injuries we've had. You can almost take a lot of them with a pinch of salt because a lot of the defenders we've had to play, we won't be playing going forward. But I think overall, you can definitely start to see, looking at these stats, which we'll bring up, what Ange's philosophy is, what he tries to do, and what we're doing really well at in such a short space of time. So first of all, we'll look at these metrics about what Spurs are able to do is in defensively, like proactively. So bring up the first defensive stat. So first of all, the first two ones we'll look at is the goalkeepers. So obviously Vicario's had a brilliant start to season. His post-shot expected goals is first at 5.5. So he's actually kept out, according to the XG model, more goals, over 5 goals, which is more than any other keeper in the Premier League, which goes to show how effective he's been with his shot-saving ability. Keep actions outside the penalty area. This shows his sweeping ability. He's actually second only to Emi Martinez, who seems to have a bit more than him because Villa plays such a high line. He also sweeps.
I'd love to know in that metric how much of that was the Chelsea game.
Yeah, maybe a lot of it, but because he seemed to be pretty much play that whole game outside the penalty area. But he's second in the whole league for that. Tackles won overall. We've won the most tackles in the Premier League. Tackles in the middle thirds, we're second. Tackles in the attacking third, which is very interesting, we're first. Dribblers tackled, we're first as well. So when players take on our defenders, we're getting a lot of tackles in. And the number of interceptions we make, we are sixth. So what I think the main takeaway is here, tackles in the attacking third first, which I think last season we were near the bottom of that metric, which goes to show how high we're pushing the opposition. We're trying to nick the ball in very dangerous positions. Tackles one being first is interesting because you can look at it in a very positive way. It shows how active we are. We're very intense. We like to get stuck in. But I think teams like Arsenal and Man City, they rank probably near the bottom of the league in these kind of metrics. Maybe shows a bit more control they have than Spurs. Maybe they're not looking to get into as many challenges as we are. So I think we're a lot more active team, and I think that's probably a consequence of that. And obviously tackles in the middle third, which shows we're very difficult to play through once teams take on our midfield. So yeah, very interesting stats.
The keeper PSXG last season, we were probably near the bottom of the table.
We were near the bottom,
wasn't
Lloris it? Was really poor,
because he was making so many mistakes.
It was like -3, I think.
Yeah, so that's improved massively.
It's like an 8-goal swing.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're still one of the most conceded, the most goals in the league. Yeah. But yeah, those metrics are looking really good on the face of things. But like you say, some of the top teams do come down to the bottom of the metric because they have so much more of the. Is it more of the ball or just more of controlling games?
I think a bit of both. Obviously, we
do have high percentage in the percentage possession in games.
Yeah, so I think we have 5th in possession, which we showed yesterday. So I think it's just a bit more control teams have. Maybe they force teams to go long a bit,
lose the ball a bit more often.
Yeah, in dangerous positions, which we'll look at in a second. But let's look at how we stop the opposition as well. So these are the opposition stats which we're performing really well in. So offsides, opposition offsides second, so we catch the opposition offside the second most.
Due to our high line.
Yeah, exactly. Passes into the penalty area, 13th high. So teams in general struggle to get passes into the penalty area. Passes into the final third, 14th. Progressive passes received, 15th. Progressive carries, 16th. Carries into the penalty area, 12th. Carries into the final third, 15th, touches in the penalty area, 13th, touches in the attacking third, 14th, touches in the middle third, 18th, and shots on target, 11th. So this is so basically the opposition when facing Tottenham are generally in the bottom to lower bottom of the table when it comes to how they're trying to attack us, how they're building up play. Are they getting passes off into the final third? More often than not, no. Are they getting those? Are they able to carry the ball into the final third? They perform quite low in those metrics as well, especially into the penalty area. A bit better. They're maybe carrying the ball into the penalty area a bit more than we would like around the mid-table rather than lower mid-table. And I think this one as well touches in the middle third, 18th. I think that goes to show how much control our midfielder, by and large, are having a lot of the time in games, because opposition teams are really struggling to get a foothold in the game in the middle of the park, and that's a consequence of that. But I think, by and large, I think these stats can definitely be improved on. Obviously, I'd love them all to be, 18th, 19th, 20th. But considering it's the first 6 months, the fact that they're in the lower echelons of the Premier League in a lot of these facets is very impressive. And
what's even more impressive is that for the majority of these games, we've been playing with a subpar team. When you're looking at a makeshift defence, Emerson Royale, Ben Davis, Porro and Udogie have been there for the most part, apart from a couple of Udogie suspensions and what have you. And I would have loved to have known what maybe these metrics were first 10 games of the season and then from the Chelsea game till now, and how different they actually are, because you do expect now we've got our first choice defence back, Van de Ven, Romero, Dragushin to come in if any of them were to fall out, with Porro and Udogie there, and our Sarr and Bissouma all coming back for the defensive midfield. I suspect that these numbers will go, well, up or down, I guess, in terms of the opposition's position. I think that will go down, and quite dramatically.
Yeah, a lot of these metrics as well, it shows how effective our pressing is, because it means that teams are really struggling build up against us when they're trying to play out the back. I think it's a consequence. I think progressive passes received and progressive carries and passes into penalty area, all these kind of things, it's because we defend from the front. We like to push the opposition high up, so they're playing the game a lot higher up the pitch and a lot further away from our goal. And I think that's why we're able to keep them far away from our penalty area by and large, and far away from our middle third, because I think the pressing system and how aggressive we are on the front foot allows us to do that. And I think that's why a lot of these stats play into our favour. I think obviously we're maybe, I would say if you look at those stats, we're not quite in the top four of many of them, apart from maybe touching the middle third, progressive carries. So they're good, but they may be like looking at them more like Europa League level rather than Champions League level, would like them to get a bit lower. But considering a lot, as you say, a lot of the problems we had defensively, it's still pretty impressive that they're quite low on consistently on a lot of the metrics.
Yeah,
except for maybe the shots on target a bit higher than I'd like.
I wonder if we could get those stats up. I mean, it's probably we can't do it now, but to get those stats for the first 10 games and see how different it actually is, because I actually think it would be very different. It could be, because we were top of the league. We weren't conceding that many goals at all. We were hardly conceding any chances even in those first 10 games. So you do imagine it would be like 20th, 18th, 19th, around like bottom three kind of metric.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't have that information right now, but maybe that can be a future video. So looking at some of the metrics maybe that we're not performing very well at, and these are fairly important metrics as well to look at, because obviously, as I say, a lot of it will be probably in that period between Chelsea and now, where we conceded the most Premier League goals in the league. So it's not all that doom and gloom, but looking at these stats here, so these are the stats which we don't quite perform very well at this season. So the amount of goals conceded overall, we're 8th, but as I say, between now and the Chelsea game, actually top. So I think we conceded 9 goals in our first 10 games, and since then we've conceded 22 in the remaining 11 games. So that's a massive increase. So that's why the conceded is maybe a lot higher. But expected goals against, we're 5th. So again, we're conceding a lot of good quality chances. Non-penalty goals against as well, expected goals. We're 6th, so again quite high. Shots against, 7th, fairly mid-table, not terrible, but fairly mid-table, but still a lot. You want to be in the bottom half of that. Opponent Key passes 7th, opponents through balls 3rd, so they're looking to catch us out quite often. This one's quite worrying. Opponent switches of play 1st, so we're really what we do is when we press, we like to obviously hound the opposition and create overloads, but what we are failing to do is stopping their switch of play, and as soon as they pull that off, all of a sudden they have all the space on the other side, and then all of a sudden we're quite vulnerable. So we definitely want to stop those opponent switches of play.
Where do like teams like Liverpool and Man City and Arsenal rank in these kind of metrics?
Quite low down.
All of them, yeah?
Yeah, quite low down, yeah.
On all of them?
Yeah, most of them, yeah. Opponent shot creating actions 7th. This one's very worrying. Opponents tackles in the final third 1st. So when we're building up, we're losing the ball in very dangerous areas, especially midfield and defense. Definitely, again, could be a consequence of having to play Davis, Emerson, or Højbjerg a lot of the time.
I think like Emerson has been tackled a couple of times there. You cast your mind back to the North London derby. Madison got tackled in his own box, didn't he?
That's true.
Bissouma has been tackled in our final third a couple of times. So even just off the top of my head, I can name a few. There's probably many more.
Yeah, definitely something needs improving. Opponent successful take-ons, as much as I think we're decent at tackling them, but also they do get a lot of success because a lot of the time when teams are attacking us, when they do get joy, obviously, once they do break into our half, they're in a lot of space. So there's a lot of space to run into and take on our defenders. And so fairly high, 6 for that. Penalties conceded, we're 2nd in the league. And errors leading to shots, we're actually top of the league for the amount of errors we make leading to shots, which actually definitely needs to improve. So
to be fair, though, like in your first 6 months of a project, playing a complete new brand of football with so many new players in the team and so many injuries to contend with, so they can't really get a run in the team. Surely these numbers are kind of expected.
Yeah, and considering, I think actually when you look at maybe last season as well, I think we're also near the top for errors leading to shots. So I think obviously we've switched up our philosophy this season where we're not so focused on making errors. Like we allow the team to make errors as long as we're making up for it in the offensive side of the game, and then we can iron out those errors out the game in time, and so we become like this obviously perfectly functioning team. Obviously right now we're only 6 months into, or nearly 7 months into Postecoglou's project. There's going to be some teething problems. There's going to be errors made. Everyone's still learning the system, and the fact that we've got to we're playing at such a decent level so quickly is a testament to Postecoglou. And I don't think obviously we should focus on the negatives, but it is important to notice things that we definitely have to improve. And I'm sure Ange knows that we've got a long way to go before we're like as good as we can be, you know, under him.
And I think he would know that. 100%.
And I think just a lot of these metrics, like goals against, shots against, shots on target against, key passes, shot creating actions. Obviously, they're still mid-tables. They're not massively high, apart from a few of them. So we're still performing decent, but I think overall, like in a perfect world, he want these metrics all be in the bottom half.
Yeah,
that's where he wouldn't want them to be like near the top half.
Yeah. Again, it'll be interesting to see first 10 games what these were, but it's interesting because when Ange got appointed, I remember talking with you on a stream or whatever it may be, and we said like what to expect from Ange-Ball would be amazing attacking football but very vulnerable defensively. And that out of the video today and yesterday, what those numbers show is exactly what we kind of expected right from the beginning.
Yeah, but what I get, it's true, but what I would argue is maybe we're actually performing better at stopping the opposition in their build up than I would expect. Well, I think what these stats display to me is that functionally we're actually quite good, and we're quite good at stopping the opposition building up from the back, and we're quite good at restricting them controlling the game. However, when they do break out and the moments that they are able to get into our half and attack us, we are very vulnerable, and they do create good quality chances given the opportunity. So that's definitely something we've got to stop. But they're not creating too many good quality chances. Just when they do get the chance, it's good quality. That's why I think these metrics are high. So I think we're doing well, and I just think in time, I think that those metrics will go down. I think the quality of chances they create will get less, and I think we're already seeing the structure of us stopping the opposition in build-up and restricting them from controlling the game, and that's really positive. Like
Yeah.
stopping their progressive passes and carries is very important. I think we're doing a good job there.
Yeah, and I do suspect now we've got all our players coming back. From now until the end of the season, these numbers will start creeping down and down and down, and it'll be interesting at the end of the season to bring you guys a video of what they look like now as compared to what they look like then, kind of from then's perspective.
Yeah, and I think things like opposition tackles in the final third and errors leading shots, that comes with time. I think that comes with how, when you're learning the system, learning the build up, but also quality as well, all those different things. I reckon if we did a thing from now till the end, to the second half of the season, I reckon it will be very different, those two.
Could we for a separate video, could we get the breakdown of the first 10 games to the next 11 games and the difference of the stats?
I can try. I can try. I could do it as a raw figure. I don't know if I could do it in terms of compared to the rest of the league, if you know what I mean.
Well, if we'll try and get those particular stats for you guys. So I think it would make a really interesting video. And if you guys want to see it out there, do let us know in the comment section below. But those are the defensive numbers behind Ange-Ball as we stand right now. If you do enjoy this type of content, do let us know in the comment section below. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.